Trey Yingst right now on Israel striking Iran right now, Trey?
Yeah, John, Sandra, Fox News has learned Israel is currently striking targets in Iran. This is a wave of strikes. We don't know what exactly they're trying to hit, but it follows additional airstrikes that took place earlier today, going after a variety of targets in and around the capital of Tehran. Smoke could be seen rising from the Iranian capital, and the IDF saying those earlier strikes went after underground military infrastructure, missile storage sites, and UAV storage sites. We do expect these Israeli strikes to continue. Again, at this hour, we can report there are jets over Iranian territory striking different targets at this moment. But these will likely continue as the Israelis come under more ballistic missile fire from Iran. Early this morning, 2 different waves of missile strikes targeted this country, going after infrastructure in the south and residential areas in the north. Israeli officials say they'd like this war to be over in a matter of days, but they are preparing for the possibility that this drags out for weeks. John, Sandra?
So, Trey, let's go to the politics of Iran itself. Via the sources that you've talked to into the region, I'm wondering what you're picking up that's going inside the country, because when a regime is at the tipping point, you usually get some pretty good indications that that's about to happen. Syria, for example, I mean, there were pretty obvious signs that things were not going well for Assad, and then suddenly it tipped over into a regime change. We saw the same thing in Afghanistan when the Taliban swept out the Afghanistan government. Do you get a sense that Iran is anywhere near a tipping point here? Or do the authorities in charge now, led, I guess, by the IRGC, still have a pretty good handle on all the levers of power there?
Look, Israeli officials say they still have a pretty good handle on the situation in Tehran. But it's important to note the Israelis have gone after much of the military leadership, trying to decimate top commanders from the IRGC. And the strike today on the American base outside of Doha, al-Udeid, is a significant development, but it's also a coordinated development. The Americans knew there would be some response from the Iranians following these strikes that were ordered by President Trump over the weekend against Iran's key nuclear facilities. And this is in part because the Iranians are looking to save face domestically. They're under immense domestic political pressure. We have seen the images of Iranian civilians, millions of them evacuating the capital of Tehran, lines of traffic as people tried to get out of the way. Earlier today, the Israelis released an infographic showing an IRGC command center in the heart of Tehran, urging Iranian civilians to stay away from these facilities. It's hard to get a real sense of the feelings from the civilian population, given the fact that the regime has cracked down on internet access there, and people have very limited ability to speak to the outside world. But as this moves forward, there is still a political chain of command that exists. You have the Ayatollah Khamenei, who has reportedly appointed successors if needed, but you also have President Masoud Pezeshkian and his deputies who have not been killed in the Israeli strikes. The Israeli strikes have gone after military leadership so far, and they've been precise in a way that they have used their intelligence apparatus here in Tel Aviv to track down these military commanders in an effort to weaken Iran's ability to fire back at Israel. And while we certainly have seen that there are fewer missiles flying through the skies of Israel in recent days, they still have the ability to coordinate these counterattacks. And so we saw the ballistic missile attack this morning that targeted those installations in the south of Israel and also residential areas in the north. And then just last hour, this attack against a U.S. base in Qatar. The key here is the missile supply and the ability to launch these missiles. It is not surprising that they used short and medium range missiles in the attack today on the U.S. base in Qatar, because the Israelis have been going after their long-range missile supply. They have tried to take out as many of the launching positions as possible, and the Iranians have had to systematically start moving where they're firing the missiles from, because the Israelis have control over the skies of Tehran and the surrounding areas. And again, as we can report at this hour, Israel is currently striking targets in and around Tehran, an indication that they will keep up this air campaign in the hours and days ahead. And I'm checking with sources here in the region to try to get an understanding about the current security alert in the Gulf right now, because there is concern that this event retaliating against the United States, directly targeting a U.S. base that normally houses around 10,000 American soldiers, may not be over. And so everyone here is in a high state of alert. The Israelis as well certainly coordinating intelligence behind the scenes with the Americans as this operation continues. But remember, we learned from Israeli sources over the past 2 days that ahead of the American strikes that took out, in part, these nuclear facilities in Iran, there was an effort by the Israelis to take out the air defense systems of the Iranian regime, not only to clear the path for American bombers, but also to make it easier to put this pressure on the regime, the political leadership that's left in Tehran, understanding that once you take out the majority of their nuclear program and once their ballistic missile program is decimated, all they have left is turning to their proxies in the region. And over the past year and a half, amid the Israeli campaign against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, the American and Israeli campaign against the Houthis in Yemen, Israeli strikes against Hamas and Islamic Jihad inside Gaza, and ongoing limited attacks against Iranian proxies, these Shia militias in Iraq and Syria, their proxy ability has also been decimated. And so they're running out of buttons to push. And so they can still launch these counterattacks as they have done today, but they don't have an unlimited supply of missiles, and both the Israelis and the Americans know that.
Okay, Trey Yingst, as our reporters stand by with us and the news breaks, let's get back.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.